On June 22nd, China did something it had never done before. It sanctioned a mine. Not a weapons lab, not a chip company. A hole in the ground in the Mojave Desert, and a magnet factory in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Beijing put America's only operating rare earth mine and its first new magnet maker on its export control list. Here's the question that should stop you. China controls roughly 90% of the world's rare earth magnets. America's producers are a rounding error next to that. So why would the country holding the chokehold bother to punch someone that small? Because you don't sanction a competitor who doesn't matter. I'm Atlas. This is the Chokehold. And this is the story of a grip that's starting to slip. First, the 60-second version of why 17 obscure metals run your world. Rare earths aren't actually rare. They're everywhere, in trace amounts, tangled together in ore that's miserable to separate. The value isn't in digging them up, it's in the chemistry, separating them, refining them, and sintering a few of them: neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium, terbium, into the strongest permanent magnets humanity makes. Those magnets are the muscle inside modern hardware. Every F-35 carries hundreds of pounds of them. Every EV motor, every drone, every precision-guided munition, every humanoid robot the AI industry is promising you, they all turn electricity into motion through a rare earth magnet. And here's the choke point. China mines the biggest share of rare earths, but that's the weakest part of its grip. It refines roughly 90% of the world's supply. It makes roughly 90% of the magnets, and for the heavy rare earths, the ones that keep magnets working at high temperature, inside a jet engine or a missile, its grip has been near total. In 2025, 71% of America's rare earth imports still came from China. One buyer's market, one seller's chokehold, until someone decided to build their way out. If you want to know why Washington finally moved, look at what Beijing did with the grip it had. April 2025. In the middle of the tariff war, China restricted exports of heavy rare earths and permanent magnets. No embargo, just licenses, paperwork, delay. Within weeks, auto plants in Europe and Japan were warning of line stoppages. Look at one number. In the 8 months before the curbs, China shipped 333 tons of dysprosium to the United States. In the 8 months after, 17. A 95% cut, executed with a customs form. Yttrium, the coating that keeps jet engines from melting, fell to historic lows. Then, October. Beijing tightened again. A rule claiming authority over any product made anywhere on Earth containing even trace amounts of Chinese rare earths. Weeks later, President Trump and Xi Jinping met in South Korea and cut a truce. The harshest controls suspended for 1 year. Run the math on that truce. It expires this November, 4 months from now. So, that's the setup. China proved it will pull this trigger. America got a 1-year window to build. If you want to see how a country actually escapes a chokehold and whether it's working, stick around, because the next 3 minutes are the most important part of this story. And if you find this kind of mapping useful, subscribing is how you keep it coming. Here's what that window has produced. And honestly, this is the fastest industrial counterbuild America has run since the Cold War. Start in the Mojave, Mountain Pass, California, MP Materials Mine, produced about 8,900 tons of rare earth oxides in 2025, roughly a third of what America consumes. Last July, the Pentagon did something unprecedented. It bought $400 million of MP stock and became the company's largest shareholder. Not a grant, ownership. It guaranteed a price floor, $110 per kilogram for neodymium praseodymium. So Chinese price dumping can never bankrupt the build-out again. And it pre-committed to buy the magnets. The centerpiece is 10X, a $1.25 billion magnet campus in Northlake, Texas. 10,000 tons of neodymium magnets a year, commissioning in 2028. Second front, Stillwater, Oklahoma. USA Rare Earth switched on its first commercial magnet line this March. 600 tons a year by Q4, 1,200 by early 2027. In January, the government lined up $1.6 billion in funding as private investors matched with $1.5 billion more. Add it up, over $7.3 billion of federal firepower across 5 agencies, magnet startups like Vulcan Elements, and nearly $4 billion more lined up with allies. That is what Beijing was looking at in June. Now the counterstrike makes sense. In early June, the Pentagon blacklisted roughly 80 Chinese companies. On June 22nd, Beijing answered 10 American firms onto its export control list, defense contractors, drone makers, and, for the first time, the 2 companies at the heart of the rare earth escape, MP Materials and USA Rare Earth. Chinese companies can no longer sell them dual-use goods. Neither can anyone else on Earth if the product contains controlled Chinese content. Read it the way an analyst reads it. Beijing didn't list these 2 companies because they're big. It listed them because of what they're about to be. A chokehold only works while the other side has no alternative, and the alternative now has a Pentagon price floor, guaranteed customers, and steel going up in Texas. The June listing isn't strength, it's a country watching its best weapon depreciate. But, credibility rule, here's the crack on the American side. In May, MP Materials sued USA Rare Earth, alleging a former engineer walked proprietary magnet chemistry to Oklahoma. $5 million in claimed damages and counting. America's 2 champions are in a knife fight with each other in the middle of the escape. Choke points don't only fail from outside pressure. Sometimes the prisoners fight over the tunnel. So here's the call, and you know how this channel works. One bold prediction, then the things that would break it. China's rare earth leverage over the United States peaks this year, 2026, and erodes every year after. By the end of 2028, between 10X in Texas, Stillwater in Oklahoma, and the magnet startups behind them, America and its allies will cover essentially all defense magnet demand and a meaningful slice of commercial demand without a Chinese license. Near term, expect turbulence, not peace. The truce lapses in November. Base case, Beijing squeezes again or sells an extension at a price, headlines scream, prices spike. But notice the pattern. Every time China tightens, Washington writes bigger checks and builds faster. April 2025 triggered this entire build-out. The squeeze is the accelerant. The June 22nd listing of 2 American miners will be remembered the way we remember a bully grabbing tighter as the grip fails. That's the call. The chokehold breaks, not with a bang, but with a purchase order. But watch two things. If they move, this forecast flips. 1. The heavies. Dysprosium, terbium. The metals that keep a magnet alive inside a jet engine. Nearly all separation capacity for heavy rare earths is still Chinese. America's answer, Round Top Mountain in Texas and allied plants, doesn't reach commercial scale until late 2028 at best. If that slips into the 2030s, US factories can press all the magnets they want. The recipe still needs a Chinese ingredient. Leverage survives. 2. Execution. Stillwater has already run years behind its original promises. The lawsuit between America's two champions burns cash and focus. And a grand bargain with Beijing that trades away the price floor for market access would gut the build-out's economics overnight. Escapes fail from the inside too. My weight. 70% the call holds. 30% the heavies, or the infighting, drag this into the next decade. Either way, watch November. Here's the thread to pull. Magnets are only half of America's hand. The other half is energy. Because every ton of leverage Beijing loses on metals, Washington gains on molecules. Last week, I broke down how America quietly became the world's energy choke point, the #1 LNG exporter, with Europe on the hose and China buying again. If you want to see the other side of this trade wars board, that video is on screen now. Subscribe if you want next week's map before everyone else is reading about it. This is the Chokehold. The world runs through narrow places, and someone always holds them.